Imagine fleeing violence or extreme hardship, only to learn you won't be sent home or even to a nearby country. Instead, you might be deported to an unfamiliar place entirely, without legal safeguards. That's the troubling shift in U.S. immigration policy we're exploring today. Join us as we unpack the latest deportation agreements with Uganda and Honduras, examine the global consequences, and trace the troubling trajectory of third-country expulsions, all culminating in a chapter on how Trump-era policies rewrote decades of U.S. deportation strategy. This isn't fiction. It's the new reality of America's immigration policy. The question is, how did we get here? Let's look at the deals making this possible. Let's break down these new deals. Today, internal documents confirm the U.S. has forged deportation agreements with Uganda and Honduras. Uganda reportedly agreed to receive asylum seekers from Africa and Asia who were denied asylum in the U.S. and resisted return to their home countries, provided they are not criminals or unaccompanied minors. Preference was given to African nationals, but numbers and incentives remain undisclosed. Honduras has likewise agreed to accept several hundred deportees over the next 2 years from Spanish-speaking countries, including families and children. These arrangements illustrate the expanding use of safe third-country provisions, now stretching deportations far beyond an individual's country of origin. To grasp the full picture and how we got to this point, consider how swiftly U.S. deportation policy shifted under Trump, where a Venezuelan migrant is sent to Honduras. Under the Trump administration, U.S. immigration policy was overhauled with one goal: mass deportation. The administration aimed to remove up to 1 million people a year, tearing up old rules and expanding government authority. Expedited removal was expanded nationwide. Now, anyone unable to prove 2 years' presence in the U.S. could be deported without a judge. Officers became judge and jury, bypassing the courts for hundreds of thousands. The administration also revived obscure laws, like the Alien Enemies Act, to bypass due process. These tools allowed for sweeping fast-track deportations. When sending people home wasn't fast enough, the U.S. looked for new solutions: third-country deportations. This marked a radical shift from decades of policy focused on adjudicating claims and returning people to their country of origin. Now, the model is deflection and deterrence, changing America's role in global migration. The result? A precedent that's as innovative as it is troubling. Uganda and Honduras are just the start. The U.S. is building a global network of countries willing to accept third-country deportees, a worldwide shell game. At least a dozen nations have deals, each with their own terms and quotas. Migrants are sent to countries with which they have no connection, making it nearly impossible to track their outcomes. Rwanda, for example, agreed to take 250 migrants in exchange for aid and services. Panama and Costa Rica have similar deals, taking in African and Asian migrants. Some agreements involve deportees with criminal records, sent to countries like Eswatini and South Sudan. This raises serious questions about public safety and humane treatment. The real goal? Deterrence. The message is clear: even if you reach the U.S., you could end up anywhere. The uncertainty is intentional, designed to make seeking asylum in the U.S. so frightening that people give up. It's a policy built on despair, rolled out globally. The human cost? Immense. And the confusion doesn't end there. The Uganda deal's rollout was a diplomatic mess. Despite internal confirmation of a deal, Uganda's officials publicly denied any agreement, citing insufficient facilities. This contradiction highlights political maneuvering, teaming with the U.S. to maintain favor while avoiding domestic backlash. Uganda is already one of the world's largest refugee hosts, with overcrowded, underfunded camps. The idea that Uganda can take on more migrants from distant countries is questionable. The denial reflected real concerns about capacity, not just politics. Uganda faces immense pressure, balancing domestic needs with U.S. aid and diplomatic ties. These deals often come with financial incentives, making refusal difficult. Uganda's public flip-flop reveals the power imbalances at the heart of these agreements. And it's not just Uganda, many countries face similar dilemmas. These third-country deals raise serious legal and human rights issues. In June 2025, The U.S. Supreme Court allowed deportations without letting migrants contest the dangers they might face in the destination country. This undermines the principle of non-refoulement. No one should be sent where they risk persecution. The U.S. is outsourcing potential violations by sending people to third countries without proper risk assessment. Uganda, for example, has a record of human rights abuses, yet asylum seekers are going to be sent there with no legal recourse. Human rights groups and the UN have condemned the practice, calling it a two-tiered system of justice. Migrants are rushed through deportations, often without legal counsel or review. The process becomes a conveyor belt, speed over justice. The result? People live in limbo, their lives dictated by secret deals. It's a failure of empathy, treating people as problems, not as humans. The numbers may look better on paper, but the human toll is incalculable, and the trend is spreading. This isn't just an American story, it's a global trend. Wealthy nations are offshoring their immigration responsibilities. The UK has tried sending asylum seekers to Rwanda. Australia uses Pacific Islands as offshore centers. The appeal? Distance. Out of sight, out of mind. The threat of being sent to a remote country is a powerful deterrent. These agreements serve dual purposes: deterrence and diplomacy. Countries like Uganda and Honduras may see value in cooperating to secure aid or favorable trade terms, especially amid declining U.S. assistance. But the challenges are huge: supporting new populations, risking instability. For migrants, the future is bleak. Legal limbo, no right to work, no path to residency. These policies waste human potential and treat people as problems to be managed. Domestically, the Trump administration's push to terminate temporary protected status for Hondurans, Nicaraguans, and Nepalese has already put tens of thousands at risk of deportation. The narrative isn't just about borders, it's about power, leverage, and politics reshaping lives. The deportation agreements and the history behind them underscore a seismic transformation in U.S. immigration policy. Uganda, Honduras, Eswatini, Rwanda, and beyond, new destinations for migrants with little voice. As these policies evolve and face legal battles, the global implications and human costs will only intensify. They also raise questions about responsibility, law, and human rights. As borders harden, it's more important than ever to scrutinize these deals and remember the people at their center. Because when we ship people to places they've never been, we're not just deporting them, we're disappearing them. If this deep dive helped you understand one of the most consequential shifts in immigration policy in recent memory, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful breakdowns. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.